from your celly, even off they know your location. SWAT team Rex 84, secure the homeland. King Alfred plan, they not playing, man. When I say they, I mean corporatopoly. They always taxing property and lying to the people. Crying and hungry, still lie to the people. Most wanna believe and don't know, won't admit they wrong and equal. Always playing victim, slave color sheeple. Tag your it, the collateral to pay the corporate debt with. Get with it or be blown away when the storm comes or when the swarm comes. Lotus and toads, breeding in millions, selling sheeple toads with toast and clone and livers. Rewriting, rewritten scriptures, big business, and still is. I suggest put down the gun, you won't win against nuclear weapons. Guns are worthless, real power and security is Moorish nationality to form unity. Bun skinny jeans, bun Tims, let's act and save the children. We got cameras on our phones, but they got universal soldier clones. Real power and security is Moorish nationality to form unity. Live from the sheik's desk, I mean no disrespect. To be black ain't shit, get no respect. To be nigga no diff, than being a negro, a wimp, chimpanzee, troglodyte, chimp. Some telling the truth, most lie on the album still. Drake ain't a thug, he's from Forest Hill. Degrassi high actor, R&B rapper. Sprite got him vibrating on a low chakra. Pedophiles got little sis in love, in videos kissing them on cheeks. I'm seeing them getting rubs, seeking some TLC. Drake is a scrub, in shotgun of Lil Wayne's whip. Talking shit, you might fool the world, but I know you have asking eyes. Far from hardcore, just ask his dad. I don't have beef, I'd rather have an idle dish. Sprite drinking, kosher Kentucky finger licking, just try it. Rappers are worthless, real power is MCs. Real strength is in the brown, not the green Sensi. Bun Cardi, Bun Drake, and all Toronto thug rappers, that's fake. R.I.P. Blue, R.I.P. Gummer, Bun Shockler and rented Hummers. Real power is MCs, real strength is in the brown, not the green Sensi.
Islam.
Islam, bro.
What's good, family?
Hey, what's up?
Yo, I'm here. I'm here.
Right.
Well, we have somebody on the phone too. So he listening. Can you hear, Tori? Okay, you heard him talk. Okay.
All right, Islam.
So you can hear fine. That's good.
Yeah, let's just start off with the prayer.
Absolutely.
Five on the left, two on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
Islam. Kick them chairs way back.
All right, yo. Let's do this. We'll start up with questions, if there's any, or even if there were any from the people who couldn't make it, from asking you or whatever.
Did you have any questions, Tori? No. You sure have 1 million of them when you were in the shop. Huh? Okay.
All right. So if there's no questions, this is where we'll start with today, and then move from here. March 17th, 1993. So March 17th, 1993. This man that is a speaker and representative for Ohio, addressing the House and members of Congress and all these people, right? And James Traficant Jr. put out pretty much the perfect. You might have to turn on the speaker over there, 'cause I'm getting feedback. Just a bit. So he put out all this information, letting the Moors know that it's their time right now. And this is since 93, right? Mr. Speaker, we are here now in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history, the U.S. government. Right? And this is, yo.
What was his last name again?
Traficant. Traficants. A-N-T. Traficant.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now remember, always remember that everything that involves U.S.A, U.S, United States of America, United States, and any of the pseudo whatever acronyms, right, are directly related to the Moors.
Directly related to the what?
To the Moors.
Okay.
Right? Like it's a direct relation. Right? Everything. As soon as you hear U.S or United States or United States of America or OAS or Canada and Mexico and U.S coming together to form a North American Union and all this stuff like that. All of that is directly related to the Moors.
This is basically talking about the entire northwestern Mexico.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he's from early, right? So this is like the first few lines of this man's speech. First few lines of this man's speech, and he's talking about how they're bankrupt. And now when they're bankrupt, they file Chapter 11. Right? And you know, it proves, right? It proves that they're a corporation.
Absolutely.
Because only corporations file bankruptcy. Right? So he goes on that there are some who say we are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future. Right? So he's talking to all these clansmen and grand dragons, and he's talking to all these people that are sitting up in Congress that already sold their seat already. They're just sitting there waiting for the transfer to happen. Right? They're just waiting. Because since 1933, they've been bankrupt. He's just talking about it now because nobody else did talk about it. Right? But it was his frame of mind is coming from 1933. Not now, because there's a debt and there's problems in society right now. Everything he's talking about is going back to the foundation of 1933, right? And the New Deal and Roosevelt and all that. And that's directly related to the Moors. Because they only went bankrupt because Noble Drew Ali made the superior claim. Noble Drew Ali made the claim that this is a maxim. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And he had all of his literature to back up his position. That you can take things out of Noble Drew Ali's literature and go research it, and it pans out. Right? So and then keep in mind that this is a European too. Right? There's not a brother standing up for the fact that I work for a bankrupt entity and I need to let the people know what's going on. This is a European. You know, different than all these other Europeans who all these Moors are talking about, or they can't say that they're Moors and stupidness like that. Right? Over something that we created. Like, we created that problem, if it's a problem. Because James Traficant is proof that the European will go against his own on some morals. Because everybody knows that they're Muslim or they're Buddhist, or you know they're connected to the universe, even the European. Right? When you go watch some of these astrology, whatever, and cosmology, it's Europeans. New Age and go to Stonehenge and work for you know what I mean, sun cycles and stuff like that. There's Europeans doing all that stuff. There's our people not doing that. We want market consciousness to our people. We want market culture to our people. When there's people like James Traficant out there, like basically monkey wrenching the whole thing, just so all these people talk about their black problems or whatever. Everything's right in here. In this one speech, everything's right in here to end their suffering. Lays it all out. But blacks don't read. And blacks don't want to accept that the prophet that they're holding up been dead 2,000 years ago or whatever, and their grandma, who they know, just died yesterday, and they don't even have her on their neck. But they have a 2,000-year-old man on their neck. They don't even have Trayvon Martin on their neck. But they have a man from 2,000 years ago on their neck saying that's their prophet. Noble Drew Ali came in 1913, just 100 years ago. That he was around certain people that they accept. So he was real. There was no fake man, no mystic. They were walking from coming out of shadows and all. That was a real man. Individual. Pressed palms with enough people. Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, Fard Muhammad, all those mans. W. Du Bois, all those people. Right? So he lays it all out. It is an established fact, right? Right? Like he's dropping it like the system's already done for. He's dropping it like he has nothing to lose, right? Right? It is an established fact, right? Law dictionary. Establish. This word occurs frequently in the Constitution of the United States, and it is there used in different meanings. 1, to settle firmly, to fix unalterably, as to establish justice, which is the avowed object of the Constitution. 2, to make or form, as to establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies, which evidently does not mean that these laws shall be unalterably established as justice. 3, to found, to create, to regulate, as Congress shall have the power to establish post roads and offices, quote unquote. 4, to found, recognize, confirm, or admit, as Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. 5, to create, to ratify, to confirm, as we the people, etc., do ordain and establish this Constitution. To settle or fix firmly, place on a permanent footing, found, create, put beyond doubt or dispute, prove, convince, to bring into being, to build, to constitute, to create, to erect, to form, to found and regulate, to institute, to locate, to make, to model, to organize, to originate, to prepare. So it's an established fact. It's a firm, unalterable fact that the United States federal government, where everybody's going to go and say, oh yeah, well, you know, if you want to be a Moor, you have to take these papers and go around to the county and then you go file the county. Okay, well, county is federal level. County is above federal level, but county is federal level. Right? And they're going to go and file papers there. When James Traficant is telling you that it's an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved. Right?
It's real interesting. I was saying that news already, it doesn't even exist.
Right? Dissolve. Right? So it is an established fact. This is like 8 lines in. We're not even anywhere yet. I have 3 pages right here. Right? And we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines in. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved. Dissolve, to terminate, abrogate, cancel, annul, disintegrate, to release or unloose the building force of anything, as to dissolve a corporation, to dissolve an injunction. See dissolution. Dissolution. The dissolution of corporations, of a corporation, is the termination of its existence as a body politic. This may take place in several ways, as by act of the legislature where that is constitutional, by surrender or forfeiture of its charter, by expiration of its charter by lapse of time, by proceedings or winding up under the law, by loss of all its members or their reduction below the statutory limit, de facto dissolution, that which takes place when corporation by reason of insolvency or for other reason suspends all operations and goes into liquidation.
You see that all over the place too.
Right? And that's where they're at right now.
They're selling the ports to China. They're selling the tolls.
Dissolved.
Yeah.
Dissolved. And they're trying to get as much fiat as possible so they can take their last whatever vacations that they have to take and then go back to wherever they came from. More than likely they're going to go to Switzerland, because that seems to be the spot to change your nationality, because everybody has a right to a nationality. And everybody has a right to change their nationality at any time, even a European. So he can say, well, I'm not a U.S. citizen, I'm Swiss citizen. Right? So that means they understand nationality. Which is why James Traficant is talking what he's talking. Because the question that's going to come up is, if it's an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved since 1933, declared by President Roosevelt being bankrupt and insolvent, that means this was a de facto corporation. Because de facto dissolution, again, that which takes place when corporation by reason of insolvency, so, right, bankrupt and insolvent. So insolvency is the reason why U.S., that's one reason why they lost everything, right? Or for other reason, suspends all operations and goes into liquidation. So the United States federal government has been dissolved since 1933, right? 20 years before that, Noble Drew Ali is setting up the establishment of the true Congress, the true jurisdiction that is the heir. And Noble Drew Ali, being that he was the last prophet, he made a claim, right, in chapter 47, he made a claim on the whole jurisdiction across the Atlantic, even into Africa, so-called. And because he made that claim is why they're bankrupt, or why they went bankrupt in 33. Because him making that claim took away their collateral that they were using in order to lie to people. Because remember, we're talking about the government was founded 17 something. We're talking about 1900, so 200 years. And in between those 200 years of the Moors training the Europeans how to run government, in those 200 years there was infiltration. because the transfer was already done. They were just doing their training. And right after training, during training, a little bit before training started, infiltration. Where you have the Europeans now, who are James Traficant and all these other people that are putting the information out there, the real information about this fraudulent government that's been going around the world parading like they're the de jure republic that the people established. But they're a bankrupt entity.
Fraud.
And everybody's thinking that the fraud is really the legit government. So Noble Joe Ali's stepping in and saying, no, the actual, we're the ones that actually have the superior claim here. That's why Secretary of State Hughes had to be at the meeting in Havana. Right? Secretary of State had to be there. Because that was their messenger that they sent, right, to the meeting to get the bad news that you guys are bankrupt now. So I don't know what you guys are gonna do, but you're bankrupt. And your corporation can't exercise here anymore. And from 1928 at the Pan American Conference to 1933 was their little time to prepare themselves. And they figure, why even do that? Let's just do like any other corporation, declare ourselves bankrupt, and start up another corporation under a different name.
Yep.
Right? It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, being bankrupt and insolvent. HJR 192, 73rd Congress, M Session, June 5th, 1933. Joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all United States governmental offices, officers, and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only. The federal government exists in name only. Right? The only things that exist in name only are things that are dead. Things that aren't in physical existence. Things that are obliterated. Right? The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers. So now he's bringing in now all the other guys now that are down with the fraud, who, you know, are sitting in the back in the room, you know what I mean? Turning red, beat red in the back. Right? Because this guy called them out. Because everybody knew, remember, this is 93. Right? This is 93. So this is peak time of like conspiracy theorists, and you know what I mean, the New World Order and the coming of the New World Order, you know, right before 1999 when they flick the switch and then everything's gonna go black, right? all this is leading up to that stuff, right? And they're he's calling out the international bankers, right? That they're the receivers of the United States bankruptcy, right? So I'm just looking up receiver. It's not in there. All right. The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the IMF. All United States offices, officials, and departments are now operating in a de facto status in name only under emergency war powers. Right? He's laying it all out right now. Like, he's laying it all out. He's not calling no bluffs or nothing. He's putting it all out there, and they know that, you know, like, it's even said that what's online is edited. Right? Like, if what's online is edited and this got out, what else did he have to say up in there? And you do the research on James Traficant, and you see they trumped up some charges on him, and they had him for 9 years. That's European. That's their boy.
Made us some charges on him, huh?
Right? That's their boy. And they gave him 9 years. Right? With the constitutional Republican form of government now dissolved, right? So with the Republican, with the takeover already happened, right? Kick all the Moors out, kick all the Europeans that were down with the Moors out, and then let's just take over this government. And when they took over, like he's going to get right into, the receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government for the United States. So a de facto, because remember, they're operating in a de facto status, right? Bankrupt and insolvent. And then that gets taken over, right? And the model of the corporation changed from Republican form to democracy. And then as soon as they say democracy, that's when we the people are supposed to recognize that this is a fraud going on right now, right? Since we're the ones that set this whole thing up. The fact that they're even taking the position of trying to take it over and then change the form of government to a democracy without the people picking up on the fact that, hold on a second, like the Constitution says Republican form of government, this guy who says that he's the president or secretary of state or whatever is saying democracy. It's supposed to be flags going off in everybody's mind. Right? And remember, this is 93. We're just getting this now. Right? We're just getting this now. Since 93. And this is not something that they talk about in anywhere. This new form of government is known as a democracy, being an established socialist, communist order under a new governor for America. This act was instituted and established by transferring and or placing the office of the Secretary of the Treasury. Right? So we have Moorish Science Temple of America, right? And then the Moorish Science Temple of America is the government, right? Because governments are corporations, right? So this government called Moorish Science Temple of America has Grand Sheik, Assistant Grand Sheik, blah, 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 going down the line, you know, just like the U.S., United States of America, whatever we want to call it, right? It's a corporation that had offices, and there were certain offices, and every office has function or whatever, and that's just how that corporation called a government runs, right? So now, this new form of government and the act that was instituted and established transferred the office of the Secretary of the Treasury, right? So that's like the treasurer, the treasurer's assistant, the temple's treasurer's assistant, or the treasurer. That position got sold to some other corporate entity out there that is into buying things of that nature, right? The Treasury to that of the governor of the International Monetary Fund. The U.S. Secretary of the Treasury receives no compensation for representing the United States, right? Why would the Secretary of the Treasury not receive compensation when every servant is worthy of hire? And if this is a government, which is a corporation, you're gonna hire employees that should be compensated for what they do, right? So there's an office called the Secretary of the Treasury, but the person that's working that position doesn't get a wage or a salary. So that means that that position is de facto, or that position is a fraud, right? Because they're bankrupt and insolvent. So everything that they do from 1933 to whenever is fraud, because they're bankrupt and insolvent. And they can't say, we're going to create a new form of government called a democracy, but still use the regalia of the republic. That's treason. That's fraud and piracy, peonage and genocide and all that. Because that's what they're, in order for them, because they know that they have to protect this bankrupt secret, right? They'll give a man like Traficant 9 years to show you that they're not playing. They have this is a thief, right? Why do people steal for? Just because feel like it, right? That's a trait. That's a trait. And these people are willingly and consciously stealing. They not just stole your bike, they painted it over, they got their own little stickers on it or whatever, put on their reflectors and a mirror or whatever with your stuff. Right? Because it is our government. If we say that we the people, and we know that it's a Republican form, we know that the people are the government. We don't have to pay any attention to bankrupt, insolvent people. Right? That we have James Traficant's U.S. bankruptcy speech on the congressional record from March 7, 1993, addressing the House, which is everybody who says that they're anybody in this so-called thing called government that we think is in our best interest, whether it's Canada or Japan or whatever, right? There's been a corporate takeover. But the corporations that are taken over are bankrupt. They're stealing and robbing because they have nothing. They're insolvent. Chapter 11. Right? Like to the point again, right? Gold and silver were such a powerful money during the founding of the United States of America that the founding fathers declared that only gold and silver coins can be money in America. Since gold and silver coinage were heavy and inconvenient for a lot of transactions, they were stored in banks and a claim check was issued as a money substitute. He's laying everything out right now. He's not holding anything back. He's not scared of the devil gonna do something and you know, if he says something, you know, he's gonna be sinned and, you know, smitten with a curse and all that stuff. He's not worried about none of that. He wasn't even worried about his 9 years. He knew it was coming. Right? Since gold and silver coinage were heavy and inconvenient for a lot of transactions, they were stored in banks and a claim check was issued as a money substitute. People traded their coupons as money or currency. Currency is not money, but a money substitute. Redeemable currency must promise to pay a dollar equivalent in gold or silver money. Guy's laying out the whole fraud right now. In 1993, laying out the whole fraud. Federal Reserve Notes, FRNs, make no such promises and are not money. A Federal Reserve note is a debt obligation of the federal United States government, not money. The federal United States government and the U.S. Congress were not and have never been authorized by the Constitution of the United States of America to issue currency in any kind but only lawful money, gold and silver coin. It is essential that we comprehend the distinction between real money and paper money substitute. One cannot get rich by accumulating money substitutes. One can only get deeper in debt. We the people, this is European, we the people no longer have any money. Most Americans have not been paid any money in a very long time. perhaps their entire life. Read that again. Most Americans, now we look up American, right? We know they talk about dark-skinned people, right? Most Americans have not been paid any money for a very long time. Perhaps not their entire life. In their entire life, in our entire life, unless we went and bought it, we have never ever had real money in our hands. Especially nowadays. Right? Now do you comprehend why you feel broke? Now do you understand why you are bankrupt along with the rest of the country? Federal Reserve notes are unsigned checks written on a closed account. Federal Reserve notes are an inflatable paper system designed to create debt through inflation, devaluation of currency. Whenever there is an increase of the supply of a money substitute in economy without a corresponding increase in gold and silver backing, inflation occurs. Right? So every time you and then you go back in your minds when you were in high school and that's all you used to hear about inflation. Oh yeah, inflation, inflation, inflation. Inflation this, inflation that, right? Oh, now we know that it's because they were printing up all this fiat that we have today. The fiat that we have in circulation right now is the fiat that they were printing up when they were crying that, oh yeah, inflation, inflation. We need to tax you more and bring down inflation. Right? Any questions?
You have any questions about Tor?
No, I do have a question.
Yeah.
I know usually, it's our responsibility to, whatever we learn, to verify it, read it, and then that way, we kind of pack it in our spirit and, it's in our mind, we know it.
Yeah.
So, if Prophet Noah True Ali set the framework that was the precursor to the bankruptcy for the U.S.A, where can we find that information that kind of titles, tie that information in? Because the way I learned from you and anywhere else is like I like to be able to connect the dots, so that way when I pass the knowledge on to somebody else once I get it,
right,
then, I can say that I've read it for myself and I connected the dots and have a clearer understanding of what it is that I'm, communicating back to somebody else.
Right. Let me find that 1 second. No, I personally went to there's a place here called the reference library, right? And I went to the reference library and I asked them about that 1928 Pan American Conference.
Okay.
So, you know, she goes, does the computer thing or whatever, and she's like, well, there's going to be nothing in book form for that, right? If you're going to get anything, it's going to have to be archived in a paper, right? So go downstairs to the paper people, right? The archive office or whatever, or the archive section. Go in there and, you know, billing with the lady, you know what I mean, about, you know, just that I know, because it was an older lady. She was probably like 70s or something, just crawling around the place helping people or whatever, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, well, you know, it's with regard to looking for information, an article or whatever about the 1928 Pan American Conference, you know. She's like, oh, in Havana, Cuba. I'm like, yeah, right? She's like, oh, well, you know, there's been, you know, and she starts talking about, you know, all the other Pan American conferences that they had, and right, and we go over to the, you know, computer thing, and she's going through all the archives or whatever, right? And she was saying that a lot of basically saying that things that they have in the archive section are your last resort, because if it's not in the archive, then it's good luck, right? So it's about hitting up those spots with regard to information like that, information from, you know, like congressional information and things of that nature, right? To validate the position, right? Because you can't go wrong if you bring newsprint. You know what I mean? With a date. That's why we keep showing the Chicago Defender article with Noble Drew Ali when he went to visit Marcus Garvey, right? Because that's public record. And like one more you guys need, you Garveyites, to get down and proclaim your nationality, right? Because it's public record that they met. It's not speculation. Just like how we're saying with the Pan American Conference, well, yo, it's kind of like speculation, because, you know, how is it really work like that? But all of that is the whole abandoning our own, right? Doubting the prophet. I mean, doubt the prophet, you know, right? If we know we can read Noble Drew Ali's prophecies and see them happening today, 2013, right? And we're gonna back that just because it's happening right now, then, and we're not talking one or two things or whatever. We're talking about, we can have a list of 100 things that Noble Drew Ali said that's happening right now, right? Proving that he was a prophet. He wasn't just talking because he had a soapbox, right? He was sent to do something, you know. So when I and that's not the only reference library that I went to or called to try to find this information, and oddly enough, everybody has every other one, but 1928, nobody doesn't have, there's no articles, nothing about it. But there's articles about ones before it and ones after it. In 1928, there's just nothing, like all we have is what Noble Drew Ali said about it, and the fact that there is a fact that there was a Pan American Conference in Havana, Cuba. That's a documented fact.
Just the transcript missing.
Right? Whatever is missing, it is relative to Moors. It's the point that we're making from the beginning, that even with the doubt, even with not having, for example, the mandate, hard copy, just like we have everything else, charter, you know what I mean, 101 questionnaire, our authority, Circle 7, all that's hard copy. Where's the mandate that they say that he got? How come that's missing? Yeah, everything else is here. Like everything else is that is said to have been acquired or handled by Noble Drew Ali. There's a hard copy of it. More to show you flyers from 1929, 1928, whatever, dealing with the Moors. Right? So we have to accept based on common sense with regard to some things. You know what I mean? Because there's no other reason why they would go bankrupt unless they lost their collateral. There's no other reason. Why else would all of a sudden these guys go bankrupt? Just like that, they just go bankrupt? Nobody doesn't just go bankrupt just, you have a business today, tomorrow bankrupt. You just file bankruptcy today, Chapter 11, bankrupt and insolvent, all our offices or whatever are dissolved. What do you mean? Why? Like, why you file bankruptcy? You need to show me something why you're filing bankruptcy. Right? They had to have lost some type of collateral to go bankrupt like that. You know, the way that they went bankrupt. Not just that they went bankrupt, but the way that it happened. Great Depression and all this type of stuff. Like, how much stuff did you guys lose? You know, was it really Chapter 11? Because remember, he even says it, right? Early. We are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future. There are some who say that it's a coroner's report. The blueprint that they're putting forward to move forward out of bankruptcy is a coroner's report.
A coroner's report?
Yeah, a coroner's report.
That sounds like some genocide, homicide.
All right. Right? Yeah. All right. And what we see going on right now, genocide, homicide, all that.
Yeah.
Because they're bankrupt.
How do they get in control of issuing all our money to us?
Because the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury was transferred to that of the governor of the International Monetary Fund. So the International Monetary Fund was really printing up the stuff, not the Federal Reserve.
Right. The Federal Reserve buys their money from the IMF.
Yeah, the Federal Reserve just a front.
Right. There's nothing federal about it.
Right. Because they're dissolved.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. So because they're dissolved, they had to get an outside party, right, in order to insist them with becoming, and it's not even becoming not bankrupt, because they're still bankrupt. They can't get out of the hole.
Right, they can't pay the debt.
Yeah, because you filed.
And they continue to pledge us for their debts.
Right, because they filed. They filed the bankruptcy.
Yeah, well, they do.
You know what I mean?
Do have the majority of the real money in their coffers.
They have it because we don't have any.
Yeah, but then again, right? Like when we say, you know, well, they have, because there was gold in the vault and now they have the gold. Well, gold comes from the land, so claim our estate.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about no gold, silver, or whatever. Because that comes from that's a mineral. You know what I mean? We can get that from the land. right? And that's why Noble Drew said, you know, when the European goes home, mountains of gold will be revealed to the Moors.
Yeah, because they got it all over there, stocked up.
Right? You know? And then he's saying that mountains imply stone and dirt and trees and whatever. Right? But he said mountains of gold will be revealed to the Moors. Which means that there's land here that we haven't touched yet, that there's gold sitting there, and silver and platinum and oil and whatever else that we need.
Probably the restricted areas you can't go into.
Right? You know? Right? No contract in common law is valid unless it involves an exchange of good and valuable consideration. Unpayable debt transfers power and control to the sovereign power structure that has no interest in money, law, equity, or justice just because they have so much wealth already. Their lust is for power and control. Since the inception of central banking, they have controlled the fates of nations. Since the inception of central banking, they have controlled the fates of nations. The Federal Reserve System is based on the canon law and the principles of sovereignty protected in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. In fact, the international bankers used a canon law trust as their model, adding stock and naming it a joint stock trust. The U.S. Congress had passed a law making it illegal for any legal quote-unquote person to duplicate a joint stock trust in 1873. The Federal Reserve Act was legislated post facto to 1870, although post facto laws are restricted, forbidden by the Constitution, Article 1, Section 9. The Federal Reserve System is a sovereign power structure separate and distinct from the federal United States government. The Federal Reserve is a maritime lender and or maritime insurance underwriter to the federal United States, operating exclusively under admiralty, and maritime law. The lender or underwriter bears the risk, and the maritime law compelling scientific performance in paying the interest or premiums are the same. Assets of the debtor can also be hypothecated, to pledge something as a security without taking possession of it, as security by the lender or underwriter. The Federal Reserve Act stipulated that the interest on the debt was to be paid in gold. There was no stipulation in the Federal Reserve Act for ever paying the principal. Prior to 1913, right? Prior to 1913, most Americans owned clear allodial title to property, free and clear of any liens or mortgages, until the Federal Reserve Act 1913 hypothecated all property within the federal United States to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, in which the trustees held legal title. The U.S. citizen was registered as a beneficiary of the trust via his or her birth certificate. Right? Like he laid it all out. He's putting everything on the table, letting you know how they came in, how they infiltrated, what the secret code word is when they infiltrate, how they use the international fraudsters to be down with their fraud that they're doing, everything, laid it all out, right? This is addressing the house. Everybody's here. It's not just a Masonic meeting. This is in the big office in the government. Every member of whatever party and all that. In 1933, the federal United States hypothecated all of the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their subjects, the 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, to the Federal Reserve System. In return, the Federal Reserve agreed to extend the Federal United States Corporation all the credit money substitute it needed. Like any other debtor, the Federal United States government had to assign collateral and security to their creditors as a condition of the loan. Since the Federal United States didn't have any assets because they were bankrupt, they assigned the private property of their economic slaves, the U.S. citizens, as collateral against the unpayable federal debt.
Is this still part of that article from James?
Traficant, yeah.
Traficant? Okay.
Yeah.
He talking a lot, ain't he?
Yeah. He lucky they put him in jail for 9 years.
Yo, he's a beaker. There, when you hear some other stuff that he has, you're like, holy smokes, right? Yo, crazy. They also pledged the unincorporated federal territories, national parks, forests, birth certificates, and non-profit organizations as collateral against the federal debt.
Churches.
Right? All has already been transferred as payment to the international bankers. This is 93. So everything's already transferred. So all these people who say that they are citizens of whatever, and they realize that, hold on a second, you mean the position called U.S. Citizen 14th Amendment is actually a stock item, right? It's actually a stock item. I have to denounce this. I have to denounce it. I can't be this thing anymore. Right? Because it's an economic slave. Right? And taking the position of always going back to how is this relative to the Moors? Because Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, proclaim your nationality, because he was a prophet and he knew that this was coming. He knew that this was coming. Birth certificates and straw men and all that. That's why he said, proclaim your nationality from the jump. Because the slaves, whether economic or indentured or volunteer or whatever, they're transferred to the international bankers. They're not, they might be in your face, but they're not on this continent. They're in some vault in Switzerland or something. United Emirates or something. Because they have completely zero collateral. All we have to do is make a claim, and our claim better be in a proper person, because you make any claim, they still win if you're not in a proper person.
Sure.
They still have superior claim, even de facto, if we're not in our proper person when we make our claim. Right? And James Traficant put it all out there. Let them know. 14th Amendment citizens, U.S. citizens are subjects and all that. All these guys want to be, you know, want our people to not accept their Aboriginal indigenous culture and abandon that to be a U.S. citizen, be African American, be black.
Brother Frujo,
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Are you familiar with the YouTube video, Iceman's Inheritance?
I haven't seen the video, but I read some of the book.
Okay, so you're kind of familiar with that. What do you think about that? As it relates to, you know, every empire, you know, has a rise and a fall. This one's on the decline, they're on their way out. So, I mean, based on what you read about that, what are your thoughts?
You know, to be honest with you, it was a while ago. And I really can't remember. I'll have to read it again to get a refresh.
Man, I never read the book. I just saw it.
Yeah, no, I never seen the video. I never seen the video. But what's it about though?
Well, it's kind of like there's a European that narrates it. I guess he's the one that did the research. I can't recall his name because a relative of mine, you know, shot me the link, and I watched it a couple of times, a couple of years ago or a year or so ago. But it's basically about, you know, it's a European talking about the European and how, you know, what the nature of why they have the type of nature that they have, and what their characteristics and things is like, you know, the type of people they are, being, you know, super aggressive and, you know, different things he was saying. But at the end of the day, you know, the whole gist of him, you know, analyzing their behavior was at the end of the day, he just personally feels, based on all of his research, that they have the mindset that if they have to lose control, they'd rather just blow the whole motherfucker around. Excuse me, have better words.
Yeah.
You know, in a nutshell, that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
You know, and we kind of see that like the Great Depression, when money ran out, you know, people jumping out the windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they get fired from their job, they're gonna go home and kill the whole family, the fish, everything got to go.
Yeah.
Right. So that's basically what the gist of the video was about. You know, their nature, you know, and how aggressive they, you know, are, and all those things as a social behavior and analysis. At the end of the day, you say we can't control it, we can't run it no more, we're gonna blow it up. Iceman's Inheritance.
Iceman's Inheritance. Yeah.
So I mean, I didn't know if you saw it, but anyways, it's out there for what's the guy on the phone go?
Yeah.
Brother on the phone go? Oh.
He hung up probably about like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, well, he can keep that video too, because, you know, I got something I can share with you, get something from it, you know, see what we can take from it.
Yeah.
I need to watch it again anyway. Are you familiar with the guy that did the book and the YouTube videos, Confessions of an Economic Hitman?
Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Yes.
No.
He's pretty, he's no longer, you know, amongst the living, but he was one of the, he was another whistleblower.
Yeah.
How governments corrupt and destabilize economies so that they can, you know, gain control over the resources and the, you know, and the land, basically.
Yeah.
Through fraud, you know, World Banks and IMF and all that, you know. Yeah, they didn't give him 9 years, they just killed him, so.
For real.
Yeah, so. But he's got a series of videos on YouTube YouTube that are, you know, they're not necessarily talking about what we're talking about, but it does give you a modus operandi of how they move and how they work, you know. It's just another way to connect the dots, to get into their mind and see how they think, you know.
Right.
And see what they do. You know, it's all about stealing our energy and our wealth and stealing our birthright at the bottom, at the end of the line, bottom. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, but remember, always remember, it's always related to the Moors. The energy and wealth that they're stealing is the estate.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's what they're going after. They're attempting to make a claim based on our abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody leave your car on the street. Law says you can, if it's sister, well, that ain't law, but you know, sister for X amount of time, you can claim that.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
What?
It's cheap.
Cheap or cheap?
I said it's cheating.
It's cheating, yeah.
Of course it's cheating.
Yeah.
It's all deceit.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, so back to man here. Unwittingly, America has returned to its pre-American Revolution feudal roots, whereby all land is held by a sovereign, and the common people had no rights to hold allodial title to property. Once again, we the people are the tenants and sharecroppers renting our own property from a sovereign in the guise of the Federal Reserve Bank. We the people have exchanged one master for another. This has been going on for over 80 years without the informed knowledge of the American people, without a voice protesting loud enough. Now it's easy to grasp why America is fundamentally bankrupt. Why don't more people own their properties outright? Why are 90% of Americans mortgaged to the hilt and have little or no assets after all debts and liabilities have been paid? Why does it feel like you are working harder and harder and getting less and less? We are reaping what has been sown, and the results of our harvest is a painful bankruptcy and a foreclosure on American property, precious liberties, and a way of life. Few of our elected representatives in Washington, D.C. have dared to tell the truth. The federal United States is bankrupt. Our children will inherit this unpayable debt and the tyranny to enforce paying it. America has become completely bankrupt in world leadership, financial credit, and its reputation for courage, vision, and human rights. This is an undeclared economic war, bankruptcy, and economic slavery of the most corrupt order. Wake up, America. Take back your country. It's telling the Moors. Right? Americans, take back your country. Because everybody knows that U.S. is a corporation. And the country that he's referring to is Morocco. That's the only country that's here other than Mexico. The only other country in North America is Mexico. Morocco and Mexico.
Is Canada considered Morocco then?
Yep.
Right. I got, this is kind of off the subject, but I do want to be brief with it, but since it just came up, we just mentioned Mexico and Morocco.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that there was a book in the RB Bay Publications ordering online catalog, Mexico and Moors
yeah.
and Mexicans.
Right.
So, in short, are Mexicans distinguished distinguished as being different than Moors, or are they Moors as well?
Yeah, they're Moors. They're indigenous to the land.
I was just wondering why the distinction Mexicans and Moors was made, that's all.
Well, remember, Mexican is a maxim.
Right.
So it's Moors.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
the way, you know, I just caught the title, it was like we were separating the two, but I thought we were, all the indigenous people in Northwest Mexico were Moors. That's hard.
But there's without the European, there's still geographical boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Right? It's not, you know, across the board, just no division.
Mm-hmm.
Division doesn't mean separated and have no connection to or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just, that's those guys' side, this is our side, those guys have a side over there. There's some people over there, they got a little corner over there. There's some ones way down there, they got like a big jurisdiction like this. You know, there's some over there, their jurisdiction is only water. They don't even come on land or whatever.
Right, because I was kind of peeping some of the lyrics to KRS, and KRS-One song.
Right.
What was it? You know, I think you posted it.
Oh,
KRS song.
KRS? I don't think so.
It wasn't you, it was Severe. One of the two.
Okay. Well, I never seen it.
Severe. But it was anyway, it was like, I can't think of the name of the song, but it was like, the gist of the lyrics was like, Mexico, Mexicans, this is your country. That's what KRS-One was saying.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, as I listened to the lyrics, I was wondering where was he really coming from with that, you know?
Yeah.
The way the song sounded is as if it kind of exclude us, like just not being our, you know, our country.
Yeah.
So maybe when we get a chance to listen to it.
For real. Yeah.
I'd just be curious to hear your thoughts, because sometimes he says some things, and I've always been a BDP fan.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have to really listen with a critical ear, whatever we're listening to.
Right.
You know, he's a very intelligent brother, but I was just wondering where is he coming from with his songs. So when you get a chance to listen to it, let me know what you think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I haven't heard it, so, you know what I mean? But, you know, I would think it's just from the perspective of them being family as well, you know,
Mm-hmm.
brown skinned people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not the immigrants.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they're not the immigrants, so like this is your land too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or this is your land. You know, because it is. I mean, they have just as much claim as people who say that they're Moors or whatever have. You know, because we're all indigenous people. And, you know, it's like the connection is there because it's even in one jurisdiction of North America. So they have to be family. You know what I mean? Even if that was called whatever else, right? It'd still be our family over there. You know? That maybe their jurisdiction that they thought was a government was bankrupt and insolvent too, and they lost their birthright, and they need to come back home and make the correct claim. You know, because the Moorish Americans have superior claim. If we're going to speak of claims and who has superior claim to claim, and it be recognized. It's the Moorish American claim. Right? Because we are the ones. Right? It was our ancestors that were here. You know. And we have to embrace that. We have to not be third party when dealing with you know, Mexicans or Peruvians or whatever. That's our fam. You know. And it's surprising how, like, at this place I worked at, there were some people from I think it was Chile. I think they're from Chile. And I swear there were some Ethiopians or something. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm from Chile, you know, my family's from Chile, my great-grandma's from Chile, my grandma like Chile, looking like some, like Eritreans or something like that. You know, say, yeah, I get it all the time. Like, I don't know, I'm from Chile. I never been to Ethiopia, ever. You know? So, we're everywhere. You know? Right? And we have a distinctness on this side. You know what I mean? You know, right? Like there's always the perspective that, you know, but over there they were, and then they came over here, right? When it was one landmass, and they went back and forth like it was nothing. And there's no over here, over there, nothing like that, just because there's an Atlantic Ocean. It's still one landmass, right? It's always going to be one landmass, right? That's why there's stuff over here that looks like stuff over there, because it's one landmass. It's not no separation. You know, and it's perception, like getting understanding when Noble Drew Ali said, you know, that the inhabitation of the Moors went from Africa across the Great Atlantis onto North America, South America, Central America, the adjoining islands, etc. Right? That's the jurisdiction. That's the mandate. That's the mandate that everybody wants to see from the conference, from the Pan American Conference, right? That's the mandate. His claim to the land that no one could argue, because the only person who has superior claim is somebody that's in propria persona. Now, if you're not in propria persona, shut up. Right? Because we haven't really, like, we haven't really accepted what Noble Drew Ali brought. You know? We're still trying to feel it out. You know, we've accepted Garveyism, and we've accepted Christianity and Catholicism, and we accepted, you know, Islam, and you know what I mean? But we haven't really accepted Noble Drew Ali yet. We're still testing out to see if he's legit. You know what I mean? When everybody else, they didn't even get no test like that. You just went down with it. Just, drinking, yeah, sure, I'll just go have a drink, no problem, you know, whatever. Oh, you got cake? Yeah, I'll take a piece of cake there. There's no withdrawal? Nah, you know, I'm not into the groups and the cult, and you know what I mean? I was it says that he was a gypsy and he was a circus magician and all this type of stuff. Why am I going to go listen to him? When man's a prophet. And came amongst his own. Right? True and divine. To get them out of mental slavery that they have now. But he said that in 1913, and it still applies today because everybody knows somebody who's under mental slavery. And Drew Ali said he came to get us out of that. And we're not out of that because we don't want to hear the prophet. We don't want to put the pieces together with regard to what he presented. Because what Noble Drew Ali presented is the missing key point for every single organization, individual, whatever out there that has melanin that complained and didn't get anything. Or filed a complaint or whatever and didn't get any type of remedy or whatever. Right? Sued, lost. Maybe got a payout, but you know, if you're talking about police brutality and you know they shoot up somebody or whatever like that, like I don't want no fiat from you. For you know what I mean, my loved one's life that you took. I'm not taking your fiat. 20 million, 80 million, you know, that you can't buy me. You know, but everybody has a price though. And they just, and you know, just like Traficant saying, you know, they accumulated so much wealth already because they're printing the stuff that we assume is money. So they print up how much ever they got to print up for you to say, okay, sure, no problem. But that's not even money that you got. Like Constitution said money's gold and silver, and you did not once, it didn't even go off in your mind say, hey, if I'm going to sue, why don't I sue and I tell them pay me in gold and silver? You know? We sue and they're going to pay off fiat that they're printed.
Do you know of anybody that ever sued and got paid lawful money?
No, because they don't have any lawful money to pay, so there's none to get if you sue and ask for that. They're bankrupt and insolvent. Like, you see how that's the theme?
Mm-hmm.
Of understanding why things go how they go. Soon as anything comes up, well, why don't they just, well, they're bankrupt and insolvent. Well, then if I go and I get a job and, you know, how do I use my national, they're bankrupt and insolvent. They're not even paying you. The man said most Americans haven't been paid in their entire life. Like they haven't been paid in their life. And they think they have pension and all this stuff. They've been saving up. They have bank account saving. You know what I mean? Take 50% of your pay, put it in a little thing, and then you're saving money. What do you mean? That's fiat. That's debt paper.
Work. Don't pay. Oh, and we want taxes. Let's give some back.
And all the services or whatever that you just naturally just pay for. You know what I mean? But that's what we get. That's what we the people get for being so damn ignorant.
Still in the energy.
Exactly.
Right? Being so ignorant. Because trust me, if the Moors, right, would have took Noble Drew Ali serious in 1913, instead of following all after these black guys, follow Noble Drew Ali, you know where we would be right now? Like think about where we would be right now if there was no Noble Drew Ali assassination and all that, and there was no NOI, no Garvey movement, none of these organizations that sprung up after Noble Drew Ali passed. All of a sudden these guys just spring up out of nowhere. And they're the stuff to follow now, because you know we're the ones that have the real freedom, redemption for our people. When they were members of the temple, when Noble Drew Ali was around, and all of a sudden they have an organization talking about they're helping the people. Why don't you just call yourself More Science Temple? You were a member of that before you came to your level of whatever, you know. But people decided to print me up a stack. You know, just print me up a stack and you don't worry. I got these Negroes.
You got these people that learn under the prophet and starting up their own things, and then they learned under the prophet, but then now they gonna direct the people to keep calling themselves black.
Right. Same thing going on today.
And they know better.
Same thing going on today. Because nobody out there who is nobody out there who's studious could not bump into Noble Drew Ali. If you're studious, you're gonna bump into Noble Drew Ali. Have to. Have to. You know what I mean? If you're studious, you're gonna study, and it's gonna be real awkward, because you're gonna be like, damn, I know about all these people and I studied all these people, and this is the first time I'm hearing about this person. Like how is it that Noble Drew Ali didn't come up at all?
Right.
Coming up in consciousness. Never came up. Everybody else could come up, but Noble Drew Ali's name will never come up. Like, you never hear that name, and if you do hear that name, it's not even like an honorable mention. Right? Oh yeah, circus magician down at Noble Drew Ali in More Science Temple. And then a Nation of Islam, you know, the biggest Islamic black Muslim whatever, and then they get their accolades, and then the Hebrew Israelites get their accolades, and everybody gets their accolades. Everybody gets their props. Ben Amim and the whole crew. Haile Selassie, all these people get their props. Hitler, everybody. Everybody got their props. When it comes to Noble Drew Ali, everybody's all of a sudden can't talk. They're mute for all of a sudden. They don't know anything. Nothing to share. You know what I mean? And that struck me as odd. First time I heard the name Noble Drew Ali, I'm like, Noble Drew Ali, who's that? How the hell is there a black guy named Noble Drew Ali in America? Who is this guy? No way this guy is snake oil salesman and all those stupid stuff there. Something's up with this man right here. You gotta check this out. See what I find. And then when you start searching them, this whole big thing opens up to you like, what the? Where? I really had an extra room in the house like this? Stuffing stuff in the closet, and I got an extra bunker room? No? Because it's a whole different world when we get into what Noble Drew Ali brought. A whole different world. It's not what we thought it was gonna be. And it's not even at its depth yet. We're still surface. with what Noble Drew Ali brought. You know what I mean? We're still surface. There's way higher things that Noble Drew Ali brought than you know, like nationality and birthrights and knowing your status or whatever. There's like spiritual and galactic things that he brought that that is really attic chamber stuff, and we can't even talk about that stuff in the open, like how we do Skypes or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's that level of information that Noble Drew Ali brought that you're only gonna get if you go to the temple and then you go through the attic chamber. You know, like there's really that high level of information. You know. But, you know, back to point that these guys are bankrupt and insolvent. And all we have to do is make a claim. As a people, just make a claim. Put Elder Bay on your name, make a claim. Claim something. Claim you're a Moor, claim you're indigenous, claim abandoned property, claim your immediate property. If you have a vehicle, claim that. If you have bike, claim that. You know, because by making the claim, you're given, it's like, claim is like a vision board, right? And making your claim is like your vision board. And that's the way that you get yourself familiar, you know, or practice the same way that Noble Drew Ali gave us divine constitution and bylaws and things like that, is practice. Call people Grand Sheik, Assistant Grand Sheik or whatever, have meetings on this day and whatever, is practice. To get us out of the state of mind that we're in, to get us thinking like our ancient foremothers and forefathers again. Because we could really handle our own affairs. Like, we don't need these people for cell phones or nothing like that. If there's an individual who knows how to connect the box so you can get 500 channels or whatever, right? That's somebody that we would use. Because obviously they know that arena, and we use our status as a group, as a conglomerate, and make things happen to benefit those that are in your immediate circle, and anybody who recognizes that, you know what, you know, Noble Drew Ali really came and he did what. All right, cool, you're down, so and let's get governmental. These guys are bankrupt and insolvent. So everybody else in the world, right, they're kind of sitting back now because the guys who they were doing business with just went bankrupt and insolvent. Right? And they're holding some of these properties because they owe them stuff now. Being that they're bankrupt and insolvent, they owe people. And they owe people big. They don't owe people no 5Gs and stupidness like that. You know? But they could only do that because the Moors haven't made a claim. And Moors from conscious Moors, unconscious Moors, just Moors across the board. Right? There's Moors that are claiming, which, you know, based on that activity, that's created some ripples. You know what I mean? Just by Moors reserving their rights on contracts created ripples. You know what I mean?
That stuff.
Say that again?
They can't monetize a lot of that stuff.
Exactly.
Because their money off.
I'm wondering, you know, with the with them being bankrupt and that they want to borrow money. So, as far as them printing more money, that's increasing when they want to increase the debt ceiling to be able to borrow more money.
Right, but that
print up more money.
right, and then them printing up more money creates inflation. So it's a lose-lose.
It's like prolonging the inevitable.
Exactly, right?
And on top of that, you're compounding and exponentially exacerbating the whole problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? So instead of having maybe 25%, 250% hyperinflation, you might have like 25,000% hyperinflation.
Right.
You keep borrowing more.
Because you just keep, and
That don't make sense. I'm bankrupt, but I can borrow.
So when you first,
I can borrow,
right.
Even debt. You can't borrow anything,
Right.
not even debt.
All they're doing is trying to pay debt with debt. We all know that don't work.
right.
The thing Obama did, I was looking at it one way, and then I was looking at it another way, and I may be wrong in my understanding, but when Obama signed that health reform bill, that was really like a temporary pass to keep China from collecting on their debt.
Right.
With us.
Exactly.
It bought us some time. You see, when we talk about those international laws of credit, they lay claim these people owe us money, and in the international community, they recognize it. Creditors first in line. He's got first lien position.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm foreclosing. I'm coming to get your car. I'm coming to get your house. The Chinese can do that over here.
Right. But then again too, right? The Chinese are doing it over here because they're Moors.
Mm-hmm. They already got the ports and they got next tier.
So they're making a claim.
Yeah.
Which is what the creditor is supposed to do. If I'm a creditor, if I loaned you 50 mil and pay time comes and you don't have the 50 mil, I'm taking stuff until my 50 mil is made up. Right? Especially if I know you have stuff.
And then they're claiming stuff on an estate that don't even belong to taking the estate that somebody offered thievery.
Yeah, well,
right, exactly. That's booty.
Mm-hmm. Spoils the poor.
Yeah, right.
Ain't playing fair.
Right. Nobody was playing fair, so they figure, hey, you know what I mean? Like, we'll make a claim. Because they know that they're bankrupt and insolvent.
And if they don't do it, somebody needs to do it.
Somebody needs to do it.
We have some abandoned property that we could I have some abandoned property for collateral.
Well, it's collateral.
All this, nobody you saying that about a weekend, hey, let me borrow some money. So-called money.
Yeah.
Let me borrow some fiat.
Right? But then again too, right? If you make the claim on the property, right, that's abandoned, and you fix it up, right, you can now rent that. Be a real landlord. Forget selling it over. Forget selling it and getting a bulk. Rent it out.
That possession is 9/10 of the law.
No,
crap.
It's a lot different.
I'm just saying, what they say?
That's what they say, yeah. It's 9/10 of the law when it comes to them trying to catch you dirty and apply those.
Yeah. But you know, but again too, like it applies. You know what I mean? Like it applies, because if there's an abandoned property, 30 days we're sitting there watching this place and nobody came make a claim on it. All you have to do is go put a notice on there saying that you're making a claim on it. And whoever has 30 days or whatever to rebut your claim. And if nobody rebuts a claim, just like default judgment.
And that's it. I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit more involved in that, but
no, but
that's what they doing to us too.
It's about who's making the claim.
what?
That's what they doing to us.
Yeah. Well, who's making the claim? They're making, because that's the same thing that they do.
Yeah.
When they get properties that are foreclosed or whatever, that's the same thing that they do.
Right.
They put a notice on there and they sit back and they just wait to see who's gonna counter their claim. Oh, nobody counters the claim, okay, bam. Then they go and use their dissolved county, right, to file their claim. And now they have the property.
And that's what they doing with that's what they deal with the land.
Yeah. Right? Make claim. Right? Because the thing with them is that they have to make a claim because they have nothing. They're bankrupt.
I got a question for the Joseph.
Yeah.
You know, I noticed this is a trend all over the country, whereby you have land in county land banks that they've torn down houses or whatever, and the city no longer owns it, so it's in a county land bank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they ain't really trying to sell it to, you know, the general public. You know, you got property adjacent to your house. They tore down the house, a big old lot. They ain't really maintaining it, but if you're going to maintain yours, they're going to try to bill you their excise taxes. But the one that's next to you that's in the county land bank, claim that too. I mean, if they're not taking care of it, that's considered abandonment in my eyes.
Yeah, well, there has to be a in the county land bank. Mm-hmm. There should be something, some registration or something like that, showing if the properties are abandoned or not.
Like abandoned for like taxes or something?
Yeah, like for whatever. There should be somewhere in there that says, okay, lot 55, whatever, mm-hmm. You know, dissolved, abandoned. Lot, whatever, deed of trust in possession of with this person or whatever. Because if it's county, then they have filings, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have to have some type of filings there, and then you just find out what the status of that property is. So when you make your claim, you're not claiming the property, you're claiming the estate. The property happens to be on the estate, so you know it falls into jurisdiction. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you claim the lot, right? Which is on the land. Or you claim the land and now you got the lot, the house, whatever else is on the estate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's why in all the paperwork it always says, we the indigenous people of Northwestern Exum, North Africa or Al-Maroc or / whatever / territory of / county of whatever, because you're setting up the jurisdiction. You're putting up the fence poles. You know, before you wrap the poles with the fence. You put up the poles so you know what jurisdiction. You know, but you know it's easier to let somebody who has real estate expertise or whatever and let them run that department as far as claiming land and whatever, and they have the little crew around them and they do their research and all that stuff, and then that's what they do.
You know, do you have any recommendations for contacts that have that area expertise?
No, well, everybody I know is on the corporate side, which, you know, like you're telling me about mortgage stuff and down payments, like that's not what.
Then Senar should have the brother on Civil Alert one day.
Yeah. Yeah. You can reach out to her. She'll have somebody. You know, she'll have somebody. But I was saying just amongst your immediate people.
Immediate circle.
Yeah. And that'll be their department. And then the brother who likes the right to travel perspective of, you know, that's the guy that's gonna be in charge of the transportation department. And then the sister who's a nurse, she's in charge of the hospital. You know. And it'll just be people around you who everybody has skills but nobody talks up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, people got crazy skills out there. Especially amongst our people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we had to have some skills just to survive.
Yo, straight up.
Without the knowledge, we survive.
Right? You know what I mean? So
that's real talk.
You know, everybody, there's somebody that can do whatever it is that we need to do for this nation to get kicked off. They just have to put their hat on. You know what I mean?
Everybody serve a purpose. Everybody important.
Everybody important.
Right.
Everybody's important. Everybody has some type of job that they can do for this movement to make it, make it move.
We just keep it simple. We ain't put
right.
Soon as we need to make it move.
Right. Straight up.
Has a critical part to play.
You know, and that's part of the issue too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who the cap fit won't wear it.
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. I was telling Phoebe about that song. I asked her has she ever heard it. I said, I'm right there. That's the truth. That's the truth. You gotta hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you first brother I heard mention that, so it really, you know, that hit me right there.
Yeah, man. That was Brother Exodus.
Yeah, that's
Who won't wear it.
That's a very, very true song.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Very, very true.
Look, see, Bob was rostered, and he was talking about birth certificates and songs. Remember, I said something about that. He said, I don't have no birth certificates on me.
Yeah.
Rebel music.
Yeah.
Wow, something different too.
I was listening. I said, what did he just say?
They didn't want around either, so.
Yeah, straight.
Yeah. That's right.
Straight.
I always catch something. At first I was kind of dragging, when I first got to class, but I always get something that I can take back to the table and study more in depth.
Yeah, that's what it's. That's how it goes. You know what I mean? There's gonna be things that come back up. You know, there's a lot of repetition. You know what I mean? And with this, but if you're repetitious in the right area, you know what I'm saying? The right amount, the right kind of information, repetition has a benefit.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not even like it's repetition, but it's not like it's repetition.
Right.
You hear something different every time.
Exactly.
Yep.
But it's the same thing. You know, it's different, but it's same.
Always good.
Because it's this thing, that's how we learn, period, through repetition.
Repetition is the mother of all learning.
Yep.
Best form of mind control.
Straight up.
and that's how we look how we've been conditioned. Repetitiously.
Yeah.
Since we were little.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Silent weapons for quiet
wars.
All the time.
Silent weapon.
All the time. It's a gradual thing. You know, kind of like the Chinese water torture.
Yeah.
In the forehead, you know, it's nothing. After a while, feel like somebody dropped a brick on your head.
Drop another one.
Just a little drop of water.
Just another one.
Drop of water.
Oh, another one.
I can't take it anymore.
Drop another one. Drop another one.
About 10 minutes. Feel like somebody just smacked you with your cell phone or something. So we can probably pull up that article with.
Yeah, man. That's online. The website that I got it from is it's called 4 Winds.
I've heard of it.
What is it?
4 Winds. Yeah.
Out, or is it the number 4?
No. When you Google James Traficant.
They have it on RB Bay too. I don't know if it's a full speech or not, but it's on RB Bay.
Okay, for real. Yeah, I never seen it on there. I saw it on this website, 4 Winds.
Willies.
With WINDS. Willies. Right? Yeah, 4 Winds. So when you Google James Traficant, the 4 Winds thing will come up, and then you just click on that and it'll go to the speech. They have a little blurb before, but the speech is in bold print. No. And also too, there's another man also too, by the name of McFadden. I can't remember his first name. McFadden. I think that was like around the same time, 32 or something like that. And he was talking about the same thing, the Federal Reserve fraud and all that.
He came up missing though, didn't he?
They did something to him. I can't remember the full details, but just put McFadden, Federal Reserve, and his stuff should come up. I can't remember his name. I don't think it's Jim McFadden. Something McFadden. And it's old. It's older stuff, like I think 30s.
McFadden what?
Yeah, I can't remember the first name.
McFadden, Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve, yeah, Federal Reserve. But he talks on the Federal Reserve and stuff.
That's what
No, and all this is just for us to have reference points of how it got to be in this situation.
I think it's good to have those reference points.
Yeah. We need that.
Where you've been, you don't really know where you're going.
Right.
Well, it's hard to navigate.
Trust me.
Do we have time for a question? Because we were talking about I guess it's clear this for clarity. The Moore Science Temple of America being incorporated.
Yeah.
I understand it now. I understand it now. The question and the answer. The question was, I think it was it the last time 2 weeks ago we met? Did it come up then? About, okay, it didn't come up, just we was talking or whatever. And maybe it was a YouTube video that we watched and it was talking about the Motor Science Temple of America being a corporation.
Yeah.
We were wondering how, as Moors, would that tie us in? Why do we have to incorporate under a de facto government? Why do we have to incorporate under a de facto government and still operate in proprio persona? You know what I mean? It's like, why do we have to go to a de facto government to incorporate or ask their permission to incorporate anywhere? You know?
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily getting authority from them, right? Because of the status, it's still them being put on notice, right? So, okay, for example, right? We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925, and were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois, November 29th, 1926, right? Now that doesn't mean that there was no activity going on before it got incorporated, right? There was activity going on since 1913. This is saying that this just got incorporated in 1926. So there's all these years of activity that had nothing to do with the incorporation, right? And the incorporation is just based on private necessity, just like why we work in the name of the straw, or why we might get checks in the name of the straw or whatever, right? Because out of private necessity, we have to be corporate.
Right.
So is that like, okay, I know what my status is, but I'm gonna still put your own rules on you, like using the UCC or something. I'm gonna make you hold to your own rules.
Not really, because see, like that's why when you know when the change or correction or whatever was made from Holy Temple of Science to Moorish Science Temple of America, it was done in affidavit form, and it was filed in Cook County. But remember, all this is before the de facto democracy takeover.
Okay.
Right? So the things that Noble Drew Ali did, when it says incorporate and things of that nature, it wasn't, there wasn't a de facto system that he was registering to.
Okay, so what about...
He was just registering it.
Whenever it says state of, doesn't that mean de facto as opposed to such and such state republic?
Yeah, right, but remember, the Holy Temple of Science is filed in Cook County.
Okay.
Right? At the county recorder's office. Not the state of whoever's office.
Okay. Gotcha. Because the sheriff is over the county.
Yeah, and then remember again that during this time, there were corporate states, but the corporate states were sovereign. Right? Remember, it's the bankruptcy and insolvent is what created all the corporate everythings. Right? The bankruptcy and insolvent is what created the corporate position that they put out there. You know.
So at the time facto state. So what would the incorporation part imply? Or what is that part saying then?
Would that still be considered in the private sector?
Check it.
Check it. Still be considered in the private sector as opposed to?
No, I want to say what is, no. I'm just saying, what is that exactly saying? In that whatever sector, what is it exactly is it saying, you know?
I hear you.
Because it's not like, it can't be, it's not the same, since it was de facto, it's not like to incorporate like you're thinking.
Right.
Like I was thinking, I was saying.
All right, so incorporate. Incorporate, to create a corporation, to confer a corporate franchise upon determinate persons, to declare that another document shall be taken as part of the document in which the declaration is made, as much as if it were set out at length therein. Right? So incorporate is to create a corporation. To incorporate is to confer a corporate franchise, so Morris Science Temple, right? To confer a corporate franchise upon determinate persons.
Permanent persons.
Yeah. Right?
Persons as defined in.
Yeah, persons, because it's a corporation. So only corporations could run it. Right? As well, to declare that another document shall be taken as part of the document in which the declaration is made, as much as if it were set out at length therein. So there was a move to make the Moorish Temple of Science corporate. And in making it corporate, there was a document to declare, or to declare that another document shall be taking part in the document of the registration. Right? That's where this comes in. Right? Our authority at the back of the 101. Right? So at the back, so the our authority at the back of the 101s tells you that no, in 1928, this is when the recording happened. These were the people that were here. What's happening is that the Moorish Holy Temple is changing its name and adopting a corporate name called Moorish Science Temple of America. Right? But that's not it. Because at the bottom it says, see Heard's Revised Statute, chapter 32 and 36. So you're gonna do your research on Heard's Revised Statute, chapter 32 and 36. And in that, it shows why the whole transfer was made and the corporation or whatever, because it was a law move that Noble Drew Ali made. Right? It was getting the temple, or getting it was basically a trap for the infiltrators. Right? Because it was a corporate trap. Because the Moorish Holy Temple of Science didn't get dissolved.
Mm-hmm. That would be my next question.
And it was never bankrupt or insolvent.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my next questions. But you answered it. And that was, is or was the Moorish Science Temple incorporated in this current bankruptcy with this de facto government?
Yeah.
Because if so, then that was not, it would not sit well with me, and I would hope it wouldn't sit well with you or even to Phoebe.
Most definitely. But it's not, it wasn't the, it was the de jure.
Right, so it was not a part of that.
It wasn't with the de facto.
For that bankruptcy.
Right.
And that's what my question was.
Because it hadn't even happened yet.
It hadn't even happened.
Right. Well, it is.
Well, were you going to say something else?
No.
Saying like you were finished.
No, I was straight.
That turned up a lot of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm mindful of that.
Yeah, Morris. So yeah, man. So
tonight, brother. I really appreciate it.
yeah, man. Appreciate y'all too. And we'll go again 2 weeks.
Okay, because I've been catching your videos. You know, I don't catch them the same day you do them. I'm usually able to catch them a day or two later.
Right.
But I've been catching them, and I always get something out of them. And
Yeah.
man, it's just like, you know, I need a couple more sponges to put in my ears.
For real. For real.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Hey, I'll take it. Take some of that sponge. All I can.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through His holy prophet. Noble Drew Ali. Islam.